This conference will now be recorded.
All right. Good morning. Good afternoon. I know we have some people kind of far away, and it's probably in the morning there where they are. I just want to thank you guys for taking time to join us today. Really, truly appreciate it. For those of you who want to get a copy of this presentation, it's going to be available on the website. Not only the presentation, but we have recorded this, or we're going to record this, and that will be available as well. So if you can give us a couple of days, that will be uploaded onto the website, and then you can access this and hopefully learn something and teach some others in your council about what we're going to present here today. So with that, we're just going to go ahead and start. Our national president, Bill Stevenson, has said that he wants to focus on our councils. It's what his number one priority. And we've done these trainings, and I thought it was important that we brought this training to you today with everything that's going on. The inability to have meetings face to face, the inability to get out and do events, the inability to have award ceremonies and things like that, where you have the ability to help with recruiting. So we just wanted to put this together. It's called Tips to Grow Your Council, and hopefully you guys will get something out of this and continue to do all the great work that you do. When we're gonna start with recruitment and retention. That's going to be done by Karen Maddox, our Associate Director of Member Services. She's going to go through that. And then we're going to go to what I think is very important. Daniel Lucy, the SVP of Marketing and Communications, and Megan McKay, our Marketing Manager, are going to talk about communications and marketing. I think that's important, especially how we can do business when you're at home or stuck in your offices. And then we're gonna finish it off with Julia Rawls. She's our Director of Strategic Partnership and Military Outreach, and she's going to talk about how you can, connect with your local military if you haven't done so. Because I will tell you, we've done a lot with our military since we've been on lockdown. There's the ability to still conduct meetings and still do things with them. And I will tell you, they're very eager because they're not really traveling a lot right now to get on and interact with you all and talk to you. So we're going to go through that. I would appreciate if you have questions to use the chat box, and we will get to those at the end. I want to make sure we get this information out to you and then answer those questions at the end. And if you don't have the ability to use the chat box, we will open it up for questions towards the end. So with that, we're going to go ahead and start. And we're going to go ahead and start with Karen Maddox. She's our Associate Director of Member Services. Karen?
Thanks, Jerry. I appreciate that. Hi, everybody. Thank you for taking the time today to join us for this training webinar. So to kick things off, I want to talk a little bit about recruitment, particularly regarding, in-person events, which is certainly a bit difficult right now, but really more virtual networking events or virtual socials as of right now. I've got to give a shout out to the Central Florida Navy League Council, who recently had a virtual social. There was great energy around it. It was a very, you could tell that there were lots of personalities on the call. It was a nice sort of get together, and really had that social environment that I think is important right now, with everything that our country is going through at the moment. But so I want to encourage you all to kind of think about ways, we're so used to holding in-person events, and I think as now we're moving to virtual events, I think it's important to keep in mind how, things that we've done in person wouldn't necessarily translate into virtual. So just taking some time to brainstorm some new ideas and how you can engage your audience when it comes to virtual events. I've seen councils, hold socials, have speakers, things like that, through a virtual event with a platform much like GoToMeeting or, Zoom, which many people are familiar with. But I'd encourage you to kind of think about ways that you can use, these virtual tools for your advantage. Another tip I wanted to give regarding recruitment, I think, we appreciate it when new members join a council, but I think really having that personal touch when you welcome a new member goes a long way to, of course, welcome them to your council, but really kind of make them a part of your community and make them feel welcome and make them feel comfortable in that environment. So, whether this is, a personal phone call, an email, pulling them aside at a council meeting or giving them a shout out on a virtual Zoom meeting, I think it's really important just to have them, be welcome to the community. And then I just wanted to share a little tip that I got from a council once. Now, granted, this works better, I guess, for in-person events, but something to kind of keep in your back pocket. But they had actually pre-filled applications printed applications with the council name already filled in, so there was no worry that a member would leave that part blank, just to make sure that when they sent that application into headquarters that we made sure that they were in the right council. So just wanted to share that tip with you all. Jerry, if you could move to the next slide. Thank you. Okay, so moving on to retention. I think people focus really heavily on recruitment when it comes to membership, but really retention is the most important part of membership. If you don't retain the members that you have, you certainly will not have a membership. So, kind of thinking about ways that you can retain members, it's very similar to the way that you recruit a member, but I think really it's important to review your rosters regularly. I'm sure this is old news maybe to some of you, but keeping an eye on your rosters on a regular basis, particularly when it comes to upcoming renewals, is important. I would encourage any council, as they check their rosters for renewals, to reach out to the members that are coming up for renewal, particularly ones that are coming up within the next 30 days. I think that's really a crucial time period. They'll receive renewal information from headquarters 30, 60, 90 days out. But I think having that personal touch from their council leadership is important for them to continue to engage with the council. So moving on, ensuring that you're scheduling regular communication with your members, I think, is important. I hate that our members would only hear from us, when they've paid us money or when they're due to pay us money. So, keeping up with a weekly a monthly letter, so a quarterly newsletter, something to that effect. Danielle and Megan will go into much more in-depth communications regarding members, but just something I think it's really important for members to be able to anticipate regular communications from a council, so that they kind of know what's going on. They have the pulse. If they can't join you for a meeting, they at least know what's going on in the council and kind of have the pulse of what's going on in the community. And then finally, everyone loves to be recognized, here and there. So, I would certainly encourage you to recognize your new or long-term members at your events or in newsletters. And this can be as easy as, welcome John Smith, who's our new member who joined last month, or recognizing longtime members, maybe having, your top 3 longest tenured members, or recognizing someone when they hit a 5, 10, 15-year anniversary with Navy League. I think that those kind of things are important. And again, just goes a long way to make members feel welcome, feel like they're part of something, and certainly will encourage them to renew. Jerry, could you move to the next slide? Thank you. And then last but not least, certainly, I touched on rosters a little bit, but this is really a crucial part of member recruitment and retention, ensuring that you've got the most up-to-date information, including someone's mailing address, including a phone number. As many of you are probably aware, we don't have emails for a lot of our members, so I certainly would always encourage you to reach out and make sure that we get an email for anybody who joins, anyone who renews, and then just making sure that that information stays up to date. I think, people move, people change their phone numbers. So just, whether it's a yearly reminder for members to update their contact information, or maybe, kicking off an event saying, or ending an event even with, hey, can you please let us know that can you please confirm your member information? All of that goes a long way to ensuring that we've got the best data for you all on your rosters. That's about it for me, so I'm going to go ahead and turn things over to Danielle.
Hey guys, my name is Danielle Lucy. Thanks, Karen, for the intro. We're going to talk a bit about communications and marketing right now. This is kind of the long play game into raising some brand awareness about your council as an entity in your community, so that when people are looking for something to do or see what you're doing and feel like it aligns with their values, that they might be interested in joining or, in a normal world, attending your event or even coming to your virtual event these days. So basically, it's just about keeping yourself out there so that there are always new eyes potentially seeing what you are doing. So in the traditional media world, we break down methods that you can gain marketing and communication market share into 3 separate categories. But today we're just going to go over earned media and owned media. There's also a side called paid media, but of course that would involve, running ads in a newspaper or something along those lines, or doing a social campaign that you put some dollars behind. And I know that's less available to most councils, so we're going to kick it off just looking at earned media to start. So if I could have the next slide. So earned media, it traditionally just means that you are out there creating buzz about yourself on channels that you don't own. So that would be your local newspaper, a website that is not your council website, any other methods that you could think of, social media that is not, oh, can you go back 1 slide? Thanks. Social media that's not your own channel. So these are things that you don't own as an entity. They're things that are out there in the world that you could look for opportunities for your council to do. In spite of us being all apart these days, one of the great things that you could still do is do some op-ed outreach. You could do a letter to your editor, something in your local paper. The Navy League keeps all of our advocacy issues together. If you go to our homepage, you can click on our Voice to Congress website, and then from there you can click through and see the issues going on right now related to maybe national defense spending or the merchant marine. These are things that are always out there on a cyclical basis that we can advocate for, and it can get your name in the press. And if ever you are wondering specifically what the Navy League issues are, you could reach out to our legislative affairs department. They do a weekly newsletter on Fridays for whomever would like more information on our advocacy efforts. And you could take the information that they have there and turn it into an opportunity for your council to get the word out about something that the Navy League cares about. Additionally, you could always, I would encourage you anytime you have an event or anything your council's even doing in support of the sea services to reach out to media through advisories or press releases. Anytime that we have an event, I usually send a media advisory out, just the basic who, what, when, where, why. Like, the Navy League is doing this on this date and you're invited and please come, or if it's a virtual event, please register. And even I've been talking to the MVP of communications and PR, Lisa Gallané, and she was saying that her council, in lieu of being able to meet and do stuff virtually, they've put together care packages that they're mailing to a ship, I think, in San Diego or something along those lines. You could reach out to your press and make it known that you're doing that. So it doesn't have to be always event-based. It could be just showing your support. And then if that gets picked up in the media, it lets people know that there is an organization out there supporting these sea services. And if that's something they care about, they can potentially reach out and want to become a member. So I'm going to turn it over now to Megan. She's going to talk a little bit about our own media options.
Hi guys, good afternoon. This is Megan McKay speaking. I am the marketing manager at the Navy League. So today I'm just going to talk pretty quickly, briefly about the own media that you guys have at your disposal. So right now, as Danielle is talking about, any outreach that you're doing to earn media also mirror that on your website, as well as your blog if you have one, and then any of your social media profiles. So this will create a bit more buzz, give you some more impressions, and help you kind of get out there your events and what you're doing during this time, especially during this time. So although you may not be doing as many events during the pandemic, it's really important to keep them, to keep any and all Zoom meetings or otherwise on the calendar. It will show that you're not sitting dormant during this time, that there are still things to do, even if you're not in person. Another additional part of this is the content up on your website and your calendar. So what legislative action are you pushing for lately? Is your council pushing for any legislative action? And if not, can you? So could you write a blog post about that so your members can learn more, and join in by emailing a member of Congress or signing a petition? The more members see this kind of stuff on your website, on your social, the more they'll be able to share it, and it will gain impressions from those that are not in your local council who may potentially want to join. I'm going to move to the next slide. So really, before spending too much time on any social media platform, it's important to ask yourself, where do you and your members spend the most time in regards of social media? For example, we focus more of our efforts on Facebook than any other social platform, simply because it is where our members engage with us the most right now. Of course, you can work on beefing up your Instagram, you can work on your LinkedIn, wherever your members are most comfortable in the social media realm is where you really want to start, and then you can move out from there. I'm going to move on to the next slide. So as far as the content for social media, using that channel to expand your voice, whichever channel you may have pushed, which it could be all three, all four, but you want to create interactive content. So are you planning a virtual event, or are you guys helping to support active duty members overseas? If so, a Facebook Live or a post of the event or activity will help you and others in the council feel involved. If you're putting together care packages for overseas or active duty members, a tutorial post of what you're putting in them would be fantastic. And then you can follow up after with the servicemen and women that received their package, and ask them to send a picture of them and their goodies that you sent out. Thus, you can post this on your social media, gaining a bit more response from your members and non-members who enjoy seeing this information. If you have an active Twitter base, just kind of a few examples, you can ask engaging questions on Twitter. So what is your favorite part about your Navy League Council? What are some ideas that you have that would help us better support the sea services? These kinds of questions would help engage your Twitter base. And when people see that aren't following the Navy League or don't know what your local Navy League Council is about, when they see the members responding on Twitter, it's likely that they will go ahead and go on an exploratory mission, see what you do, and on your Twitter bio, your Facebook bio, wherever this is going to be, having kind of a learn more link would be very helpful. Posts that ask people to share their stories. So this, you can post this on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn even. But if you post and ask people to share their stories, you can ask them to share experiences in the comments, or for more social capital, you could ask them to send you a DM or an email, a direct message or an email with pictures and a write-up, so that you can share this on your social media platform later. We have a few I have a few graphics at the end of the social part of the presentation that will be available for councils to utilize for this. But you can have, essentially you could have a join the conversation, saying we want to hear from you as a Navy League member. How has the work we've done impacted you? You could kind of use a paint the picture graphic where you would share a story about your military service with us, asking members if they were previously in the military, for them to share a story. And it would just be, that is essentially just content that
is known to gain impressions and interaction on social. And then lastly, member highlights. This is probably one of the most important ones that you can put out there. For anyone that is going above and beyond in your council, or really doing anything to continue the Navy League's mission during the pandemic or these unusual times, ask them if they could, if you guys could share that on your social, and then ask if they'll send you some pictures, and share the pictures with a write-up you created on the social platform of your choice. You can create a hashtag called Member Monday. There are multiple options, multiple places that you could go with this. Doing that will then in turn hopefully get that person who shared with you to share on their social, which in turn will get their friends who are not aware of what the Navy League is, to explore more about us. And again, we created some graphics for you to share, and to collect those stories from your members at a later time. I'm going to hand it to Danielle to end the social conversation.
Yeah, next slide, please. Basically, yeah, your social media, you just have to think of it as you. If something is happening on your blog or your website, or if you have an op-ed or anything out in the world, it should also be on your social. You know, Megan talked a little bit about Member Monday. Maybe a fun idea would be to start a blog where you do a profile of each of your members, and then you could turn that into a social post, and then people can see what sorts of people, you know, join the Navy League. They could think like, oh, I was a veteran too, or oh, my son also joined the Navy, or my spouse, or whatever it is. And once they see in you that there's a piece of themselves there, they will want to potentially be more interested in joining. So it's really just about always remembering to take photos at your events. Just always keep that social hat on. Anything that you're doing can easily get translated to social, and it is something you just have to chip away with over time. That's how owned media works. Usually all these social platforms these days, to really anything that lights fire is usually a paid campaign. So it really is just about consistency. And even these days, you could live stream your events. If you could set up an event through Facebook Live. It's not something where you could have a ton of interaction, but if you have a speaker, you could feature them with your council president, along those lines, capture people that way too. And for anyone who missed our training session, I think it was last month, there's a recording on our training page that goes over all your different live stream event options. So I encourage you to go check that out too, in case you missed it. But definitely Facebook especially is a great way for you to live stream your event. I think, Megan, you're going to talk a bit about emails.
Yep, I am. Sorry, muted myself. So again, back to own media. You guys all own, you know, your own email. You have hopefully enough member emails in your email bank that you can get a solid email out to members, helping them to know what's going on in the council, what's going on in the sea services, etc. So this is something that you can utilize tenfold, really. So with email during this time, especially, personal connection is very important. Email is such an easy way to make that personal connection. I would kind of recommend assigning each member of the board a list of current members to reach out via email. If your council hasn't met in quite some time, it's a good idea to ensure everyone is doing well. It's important that our members know we care about them on a personal level. You can send any pertinent updates about the council and the pandemic response, as well as ask questions personalized to each person on the list. You know, talking about family, talking about how everyone's doing with the recent reopenings, etc. Ask for updates from them, and then if they're, you know, updates that you guys would want to share on social media, that is another segue into that. Be sure you have their permission before sharing them. If each board member receives a list of about 5 to 10 people, this should be an easy task to accomplish, and it will really show that your members that you're going the extra mile. Just a quick note, if members don't have an email, pick up the phone for a quick conversation. It will go a long way. With that, if you do pick up the phone and call your members, just to, you know, check in, see how they're doing, get some updates, ask them if they have an email at that time. This is a simple way to, you know, get their email and make that contact a little bit easier moving forward. I hear that my mic is going in and out. Can everyone hear me? Okay, I'm going to keep moving. So the next thing I have in here for email is push out a member satisfaction survey. Yeah, sorry. So right now we're in the process of completing and sending a member satisfaction survey out to all members via Anchor Up and Connections. A more personal appeal by you all will get more responses, absolutely. An example of the headquarters survey can be found linked in this bullet here. And feel free to use this with your members, but sending a personal email to your members asking them for their opinions will help gain engagement and responses. Additionally, once you guys have received the feedback, you can use this feedback to up the ante for some programs that are going well and to adjust accordingly for things that need improvement according to your members. Going one step further, as council leaders, you can look at the responses and find individuals who have certain alliances or are passionate about specific activities or events. These responses can be used to build a task force or a team to further push that goal along, thus giving your members more ownership and a higher stake in the Navy League Council that they belong to. And I mean, at the end of the day, they're just going to be more likely to talk about something that they're passionate about, something that they belong to, and something that they're in charge of. So this could be a great segue into that. And Danielle is going to go into some advertising and influencer ideas.
Yeah, I just wanted to give you guys basically every idea that we could think of during this time. You know, I wanted to touch just a little on paid ads. It is, of course, always an option. I'm sure you see when you post something to your social network that it gives you the option on Facebook to boost your post. Or you could even do targeted ad campaigns by setting up a Facebook ad account. If you have further questions, feel free to reach out. We're at communications@navyleague.org. I don't need to get super deep dive into that right now because that could certainly be its own training. And just another idea, find an influencer. Influencer marketing is pretty huge right now. And the concept of it is that you could find a stakeholder in your community to amplify your voice for you. So a good example would be if you're hosting a STEM event or if you're doing a fundraiser for STEM or something along those lines, like reach out to maybe a teacher or a principal or somebody in your community that can amplify that voice for you and just engage with them. Ask them if they would post to their social accounts on your behalf and link to something on your website. That could just help bring a whole new audience into you that you wouldn't have been able to gain without their audience that you are trying to capture. And then next slide. And yeah, just also wanted to say, we have some councils reach out to us and just say like, hey, I see that headquarters is publishing all this content. Can I use it too? And the answer is definitely yes. So if you go to the blog page of our website, which is here, or the Sea Power magazine website, the URL is there too. If you could just give us credit, you know, say this was originally published by Navy League headquarters or originally published by Sea Power. We've had councils that work with local news organizations. They agree to publish a blurb from Sea Power. You know, from our website there. Our blog, we're doing a great new series right now called Highlighting Our Heroes. It tells individual stories of sea service members. And it just goes to show you that each one of these people have a unique perspective in life and walk of life, and they really do deserve, you know, all the gratitude we could supply the sea service members. It just gives you that personal touch and story. So if you guys want to share the stuff we have, these are the links. Be our guest. We're happy to have you do it. And I think the last slide in our section is just talking a bit about those creative assets. Megan, if you want to show them the social graphics that are available for them to download.
Absolutely, yeah. So as we were talking about earlier, just getting your members to share personal stories, to share stories of sea service members, and to highlight your members is really important during this time to help them feel, you know, seen. So we have created 4 different graphics that you guys can use to ask your members essentially to share their stories with you. We have Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram sizes. You can also use them on LinkedIn if needed. So if you just click on that link after this presentation, they are downloadable, and you guys can share those as much as you want on your social media. And I think that is all for our communications and marketing section. So we'll pass it over to Julia.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much. I just want to touch on some things on how to grow councils by military outreach. As we know, we are here to support our sea services, and a great way to do that is to increase our awareness in our community by involving our military. So the first one is our military spouse membership. Currently, we are in a military spouse market test for free membership. So there's certain things that we can do to invite our military spouses into our councils and some of our community events. Each base has military spouse organizations, clubs, or regularly scheduled meetings. I'm a former military spouse and I've been on 7 different bases. The best way to get a hold of these, if you're in an area that has several bases, is to contact the chaplain on base. They are an amazing resource to put you into the right direction and hand you over to the right people involved. There are several at each base or recruiting station. Training commands all have them, but they're mostly, depending on the size of the base, they're going to be your best bet is to go to the chaplain. Now, depending on what type of sea service base you have, whether it be Marine Corps, Coast Guard, or Navy, it will start out with your chaplain, then to your ombudsman or your family readiness officer. We have a formal MOU with Naval Services Family Line. We're in our 2nd year of them. They do classes worldwide on spouse leadership, how to be a spouse, how to be involved with your community, and they are very helpful at introducing military spouses to local councils through membership and through different organizational activities that they run. They are very active on social media, and echoing Megan and Danielle's social media push, they will also in their area do a lot of things for us and partner on their social media for our activities, whether it be your youth activities or your council meetings. But they're available and ready to assist and to join. They are also a good source of activities that are military activities that our councils can then help reach out to and to participate in. So because of this military spouse membership, it's currently in our market test. This does include a complimentary membership for military spouses. Karen and I are trying to, with each council's help, develop a stronger military spouse membership plan and policies that can really bring in this membership. The good thing about military spouses is that their spouse, the active duty member of their family, can often then play a very big role in some of your council activities, such as speaking engagements, presentations, and help with some of our youth STEM activities. Next slide, please, Jerry. Recently, our Navy Recruit District has approached us on a national level to ask what can they do. Navy Recruit Command is based out of Millington, Tennessee, and they have 28 recruit districts across the United States, and their top priority is community outreach and involvement. While they are targeting and trying to recruit our sailor, what they also want to do is inform our community at large of the Navy as a whole and what they're doing for our sea services and our nation as a maritime nation. These recruiters are available to energize our community affiliates for the purpose of Navy League membership, as well as provide any assistance we have in developing programs at the local council level to have sea service naval support. Most of these recruit command or districts in your area are civilian employees, so we don't have to worry about active duty membership. with the recruit command, the RDACs is what they're called at a local level. They're eligible for membership, and they want to get out and educate, get involved in the local schools, and they do want to come and attend your meetings. Their purpose is if they know what we need, they can help us and vice versa. They would like to help you connect with local Navy leaders to speak at your events, to attend your meetings, and to get a sense of what the Navy League is like on a local level so that they can be of assistance. Next one, Jerry. Military outreach in general increases the education and advocacy to build a strong sea service to our current members and potential new members. A big thing that I see while I develop the programs and the speaking engagements at a national level is that if we can educate the Navy as to what we're doing and how we do it, then we will garner a lot of support from our military leaders. In turn, we can then build a strong Navy League when we talk to them about how we can do our grassroots advocacy. This will build the relationship between our active duty military and will lead to future members and partners after military service is complete. I know we have a lot of retired military members, but the more that we can involve active duty while they're active, and we'll just keep them into our system. They want to be invited, so we can invite our leaders to sea service, to meal events, to council meetings, to member meetings. They want to be present and have us present at ship adoptions, lots of homecomings, deployment support. And then, like always, our team at headquarters to facilitate military outreach and to find speakers for your events is always available to help. And we look forward to doing that at the council level. So I think if I'm done. Thank you so much for all of your council support.
Hey, Jerry, are you around? If not, I can start reading off some of the questions. All right.
Can you guys hear me? I'm sorry.
Okay. Now we can hear you.
Can
All
you hear
right.
me?
Yes.
Sorry about that. So once again, before we get to the questions, I just want to say that if you are in a council or you're having meetings, one of the most important things that you need to dedicate time in that meeting is about recruiting and retention. I think that is one of the most important things you do as a council is recruiting new members and retaining the ones you have and keeping the ones you have engaged. I know there's a question in here about military spouse retention. I think that is, Carrie, I think that's low right now, and I'll have Karen answer that question. But I will tell you, it depends on the council. I know there's some councils that have retained their military spouses. And one reason is because they keep them employed. You know, I've always said a gainfully employed Marine is a Marine that he's not going to get in trouble and he's going to stay engaged. So I think it's the same thing with our members. If you keep them busy, if you keep them involved, they're going to want to stay and they want to be a part of your council and what you're doing. So definitely dedicate that portion of your meetings to figure out recruiting and retention. I think one of the biggest things that we've done here at headquarters is we found out quickly that we had to use other means to communicate and have meetings and things like that. You know, if you haven't been a part of the webinar series that we got going on this week, that has been the big talk through all our services is they have been forced to do things differently and they've learned quickly. And I'll give you an example. You talk about teams and how to interact in teams. That was coming in the military a year or two from now. Now it's been forced upon them and implemented and done properly with the protocols and the proper security measures. They were forced to do it, and it's working outstanding. You know, I have a feeling when things go back to normal, telework is going to be a big part of the military. So these things, I just think you just got to have conversations, think about new ways of doing business, and I think, you know, you'll be fine and you'll be able to keep the people that you have. So with that, we're going to go ahead and go through these questions. Talk about membership. How do councils, and this is for you, Karen, how do councils get up-to-date member rosters?
Sure, happy to answer that question. So Bob and Pat Dolan, thank you for that question regarding councils and getting their member rosters. So once you sign into the website, if you don't have a sign into the website, no problem. You can sign up under, I believe it's member login. It's a button right at the top right-hand corner. If you don't have a login, you can create one. But if you're familiar at all with our website, we have a tab that says member resources. It's kind of on the right-hand side of our website. If you hover over that when you're logged in, there's a tab that says membership. If you hover over that, there's a tab that says rosters. So when you get to that screen, I think most people just click on the very first one that says access your rosters. But I just, for your own reference, there are other options there. You know, I mentioned the, you know, contacting members who are renewing. While we do have the expiration date on all of the rosters, you can actually see there, you know, who's renewing in the next quarter, any new members that you have, just as a general reference for you, that information is there. But so there is a link there that you can access your roster. You can filter that roster by the status of the membership. So our statuses are active, lapsed, so someone who has expired, and then dropped members, people who are no longer members. So you can see all of your member information there, and certainly if you have any updates or anything like that, please let us know. Yeah, that's how you access rosters. Back to you, Jerry. Jerry, if you're there, you might be talking on the mute button.
Oh, I did it again. I'm sorry. Hey, this is about the emails and phone numbers. Right now, that ability is not. It's a legal issue. So we have our legal team looking into that and figuring out how to way to get that information to you all properly, legally, and all that good stuff. So I know that's always a big question. We always get that. Just know that we're trying to figure that out legally and try to get that done properly. Carrie asks, are there member resources showing how to write, deliver media adversary? Okay, so that's for you, Danielle.
Yep, yeah, for any members looking how to write press releases, we have on our website, there's a news tab, and at the bottom, or I think second from the bottom of the news tab, is a section called media resources. If you go there, you can see that the basic format and template for writing a press release. So, you know, up top, the date, a headline, underneath the headline, what in the news industry is called a deck, which is just an explanation further of what's happening in the headline, body copy that goes into the details. You know, usually the way news stories are written, there's something called the inverted pyramid. So that means that the most important stuff is at the very top and the least important stuff is at the very bottom, because you want to assume, even before the days of social media, all the news writers assumed that people wouldn't make it to the end of your story. So I think that's proven more and more true over time. And then at the end, of course, you want to close with who your media contact is. So for Navy League headquarters, it's me, but for your council, perhaps you have a communications officer or somebody that would like to field any sort of media requests. But important probably to all of that, when you look at those press releases, at the bottom of all press releases, there's an item called a boilerplate, which is an explanation of your council and who they are. So we have it at the end of all of ours. If you know, I'm happy to go through and create a press release, kind of strip out all the specifics. But that boilerplate at the end, you know, you could tailor for your council, saying what your council website is, where you are in your community. Yeah, those are available just as a reference, but I can go in and strip out and make a sample. Happy to do that.
Thank you. Just to let everyone know, I just thrashed myself for not being responsible and taking myself off mute. So sorry about that. Larry, hopefully we answered your question about the graphics. They're on the link on this presentation, and this will be posted on the website, so you can get it and download it and have it at your disposal, and you'll be able to get those links. Kelly, answering your question. Yeah, you're welcome, Larry. And Kelly, answering your question, this is going to be on the website. But if you want, for anyone here, you want to take down my email address, it's gsaunders@navyleague.org, and I will type it in here for everyone. If you want to shoot me an email, I can get this presentation to you as well a little quicker, because this is probably going to take a day or two for us to put everything up. And then Carrie, the question about retention rate, I'll let Karen take that one.
Thanks, Jerry. I'm not seeing the question about retention rates, so if you could just read that one off.
Yeah,
I think that.
I'm sorry. It's what is the retention rate for our original active duty spouse memberships?
Oh, sure thing. So surprisingly, it's pretty high, but I will tell you, because we only instituted active duty spouse members a little over a year ago, where we've not seen a particularly high, drop off or rate quite yet, because many of our members, I believe May 2019 was it may have been June 2019. Now that I think about it, was the first month where we allowed those members. They're only just now getting to the end of their cycle. So regarding the retention rate for them, it's just not quite. I think it's going to be more of an interesting metric kind of in the fall, just because we're right at that 12-month mark. Back to you, Jerry.
Thank you. And here, Karen, here's one for you, and maybe you can answer better than I can. Is military spouse complimentary membership available to former and retired military? I guess if they're a military spouse still.
Yep, you are correct. As long as they are an active duty spouse, they are welcome to join. And I will tell you, the complimentary membership, Julie did a great job mentioning it, that it's still technically a market test. We have no intention of, or we have every intention of continuing the membership category, so I don't envision this going away anytime soon. But it is complimentary. It's complimentary for 1 year. Come the end of that 12-month term, they are then asked to join at a regular membership rate. So just for the 12 months, it's complimentary, and then they're asked to renew. But yeah, it's available to anybody who is an active duty spouse.
Thank you. And then Bill, I see you asked a question about where the membership tools and all that. Carrie answered that, so I'm not going to go into that. Bill, if you want some more information, go ahead and hit me up. It was good talking to you today. Kelly, yes, sir. Kelly asked, I lost it here. Sorry about that. And Kelly is asking, may we contact the drop members? I'm going to go ahead and say yes, but Karen, can you go into that a little bit more?
Yep, Jerry, you're right on point. Absolutely, you can contact the drop members. I will say, for the most part, people are considered dropped if they do not renew their membership. We do have people who are deceased in that, so I'm working to try to add that, like a notes column essentially, on a roster to make sure that if somebody was dropped because they didn't renew, or if we have deceased their record. But absolutely, you can contact drop members. I encourage you to contact drop members. If you have any questions about that, Kelly, feel free to reach out to me. But yes, that you definitely can contact them.
Thank you. And then Bob and Pat Dolan talking about the website. You can't get access to rosters. Take down my email address, gsaunders@navyleague.org, and we'll take care of you. We'll get that over to Karen, and they'll be able to help you out with that. You probably just, we need to give you access to that. Don Larson is asking, several members of council members are not present on my membership roster. However, they're active and still receive CPOW. What happened to them? Don, Karen, can you get with Don on that? That seems like a matter that you can take care of them with that.
Yep, I can definitely help them out with that.
And then we have a question here, and then I'm going to open it up to everyone. If you want to ask a question to one of our people online here. It says, Alfred says, is the local council notified when the renewal notice is sent to a member and when the renewal is paid? Karen, that's for you.
Yep, I can answer that one too. So no, we don't currently have an option to like carbon copy somebody on our emails that go out for renewals. I would say I would just kind of point you back to the rosters and point you back to those 30, 60, 90-day reports that we include on that roster page that I mentioned earlier. It is something that it's a high on the wish list thing for me that I'm working with our IT department to try to get the ability to include particularly council presidents and membership chairs whenever a renewal goes out. So it is something that I'm hoping to be able to make happen soon, but we don't currently have that capability.
Hey, Bill just asked, and I think this is for you, Julia. Hopefully you can answer it. Is there a way to know if when you contact one of our elected officials in DC or congressional reps, for example? Or maybe that's the legislative affairs.
I'm trying to think. Bill, is it because how to know, or how are you looking for how to contact one of them? Is there are you looking for a roster or I guess a phone book of sorts?
No, this is Bill. Basically, I'm wondering, for example, you have, I think, your national outreach. You go up to the Capitol for the day, and you do outreach and things. And if you come in contact, let's say you come in contact with one of my senators, Senator Klobuchar, for example.
Right.
Is there a way that you give us a head up that you spoke with them during that moment?
Great question. Bill, that would be for Ryan Simon, and I can add his email address. He is our legislative affairs on Capitol Hill. And I can forward that question to him from you and put the two of you in connection.
Appreciate that.
Hey, Bill, and I can add on to that. I think what happens is if something like that does happen, I think he contacts your region legislative affair rep, whoever that is. So I will find out who that person is. And Julie says she's going to get you his email address. Ask him who that person is, and then if that's taking place. And if it's not, then it should, because you all have representatives in legislative affairs for your region.
Correct.
So I left my email address in there for you. I will tell you that I am the most important person on this call. Not that I'm the smartest, not because the rest of our presenters are way smarter than I am. But what I can do is I can get you to the people. You just ask a question, and I can get you to who you need to get the answer. So, and I say that you're not bothering me. My job is to listen to you and get you what you need and get you to the right people. So, if you have a question for Megan, Karen, Danielle, or Julia, just hit me up, and then I will get that information to you or connect you and get that information for you. So right now we'll open it up. We have a couple of minutes. Does anyone have any questions from the group? Yeah, we must have did our job good then. So we're going to go ahead and close this. I know you guys have things to do and go out there and continue to support your communities and RC service men and women. I just want to say that I think this is an opportunity. It's going to be hard. It's going to be tough during these times, but I think we can do it. Karen mentioned Central Florida. They've had 2 big Zoom meetings that I've been a part of, and I will tell you they did an outstanding job. It's hard and it's difficult to put together, but they're doing it, and they're keeping folks engaged. They invited military leaders. I think the last one they had like 3 or 4 admirals and a captain spoke. They gave them like 10, 15 minutes to talk about what they're doing, what's going on, and around in their units and things like that. So the lead. So the questions popped up. Lead for Central Florida is Lisa Coe. and one of our MVPs, Chris Townsend, is down there as well. I can get you that information, Kelly. But you know, councils like that, and they're not the only one. I just point them out. I know New York, Hawaii, San Diego. There's some other councils doing continuing work and doing great things and supporting our sea service men and women and their communities without skipping a beat. And I know it's difficult, but they're still doing it. So, you know, I ask you to continue to do the great work because it's needed. You know, those sea service men and women need your support because I can tell you they haven't dropped their pack in serving your country and continue to keep us all safe. So keep up the great work. I truly appreciate it. Again, my email address is in the chat. If you on a phone, it's gsaunders@navyleague.org. And I'll tell you, Carrie brought up a good point. It's good to see some people on here that we haven't heard from in a while. So thank you really truly appreciate it. And I really truly appreciate what you all are doing, serving your communities and our sea service personnel and their families. So thank you guys for attending, and we're going to go ahead and close out for the day. Stay tuned for the next webinar. Hopefully it's support. We're still working on that. So hopefully you get that. We still have some work to do on that and get it out to some of our volunteers for testing and all that. So thank you guys for attending, and we'll talk to you later. Thank you.